Hello everybody and welcome. I'm No02 and thank you for watching this video. We are in part 2 now of our walkthrough guide for Act 5. Let's see here. None of that really matters. We're in recruit mode, right? What is this called? To the Den of Evil. To the Den of Evil. And so, if you don't have an accurate weapon, you can of course use the minigun. Shoot these guys, but if you do have an accurate weapon, it's a little bit more ammo efficient to just pop them like this and then use the minigun. This is actually a great place to hold off the horde. In fact, in this little beginning area, I would sometimes just run back to here, literally to the boat, to hold off horde events. There's some loot up here, but nothing too crazy. For the most part, this is pretty simple. Once you're on the minigun and you're hanging out, the bots, for the most part, would deal with literally everything else. Now, I completed the last mission by completing all the objectives, putting the boat together, reloading the minigun. As you saw here, I'm out of ammo. I actually only had 100 rounds, and that only happens typically if you take a hive out of the first mission, which I did not do. So this minigun not being loaded is a bug, I guess? Technically? Not a big deal. Just keep that in mind if that does happen. So, this area right here. 3 buildings. Opportunity for loot. Keep in mind we are running multiple scavenger cards here. We'll go through all of it, see what it looks like when we have the scavenger cards on. But I find that for the most part, pretty light on loot in this area. Just in general, this whole area seems to be pretty light on loot, or this whole map. Some cars here for stuff. Extra loot, offensive scavenger popping off. Now, the thing I want to talk about the most here is that, for the most part in my typical runs, I will end up looting all these 3 buildings. They're relatively-ish safe. Not ideal, a lot of windows for things to crawl in, but every single one of these buildings, for the most part, has a corner that you can stand in. Get a wall against the... Get your back against the wall. And stuff like that, right? So we'll loot them, but they seem to be pretty light on loot. I will suggest not going back here, though. This car right here is literally the only loot that is in this like back alleyway. The only place for opportunity of loot. So if you want to be a little loot goblin, feel free to jump over here. And you can actually jump back over. This entire fence is climbable. Just jump back over. But then I would typically never go back there. There's always a bunch of zombies back there. There is sometimes bear traps hidden in the grass, and it's a little hard to see them when they're in the grass. Things can climb over these walls during horde events. So I just typically don't like going back there at all. It's not a safer way to go. Not a safer way to go, and there's literally nothing back there other than that one car. We'll just keep going. We'll ignore the bruiser for the most part. I don't think I've ever seen these alarm doors. I mean, these doors be alarmed. I've never seen them be alarmed. Alright, this building, right? A little crappy little closet to hold out in. Nothing too crazy. As I remembered, right, we got... It's a scavenger, support scavenger, utility, food, weapon. This is what this is looking like. With all these scav cards on. Nothing insane, right? It's almost like the game sort of considers these 3 buildings like the same loot area, I guess, technically. So there's really not a whole lot in here. Opportunity for a medicine cabinet in this bathroom here. So I will suggest, if you're looking to move faster, you're not super worried about it, there are opportunity for cards in here, your duffel bag, your basic card, as well as card boxes. But if you're looking to really speedy zoom, loot the 3rd building. That would be my suggestion, because at the very least we want to check for an opportunity for a medicine cabinet. And it always seems like when it comes to card opportunities, I feel like there's almost always one in this 3rd building, but I mean that's how it's not always true. Now we can exit out of this window, but typically in no hope mode, this whole area we will have a bunch of zombies everywhere trying to climb through. Puts you typically in the middle of it all. So typically I leave out the front door and I will approach the next area from here. Also, too, this 3rd building is the best as far as holdout points go, because at the very least, one person looks at the window, one person looks at this, a couple of people look down here, right? fall back into this bathroom. It's like the biggest of all the side rooms of these 3 buildings. It's slightly better overall. But I would typically approach this next area from this side here, clear all this out. I don't think I've ever seen anything climb over this wall. If I recall, just be aware of that. A lot of these missions have a lot of verticality, or likes to spawn a lot of the in vertical places and have them like climb over, jump down, like this bus.
What the hell is that? Come on, this
Now we'll jump over here. I've never seen any zombies on this behind this fence here. Not that they can't necessarily spawn behind there and climb over. I typically hug this wall though, because over here,
You seeing that?
if we go over here, we shoot our gun. And this is the way that we're sort of like, you know, we're shooting, we're making our way over. I typically, sometimes zombies are behind this wall, and they will show up and climb over. Not a huge deal, really not a game breaker or anything like that, but I typically just hug this wall here. Don't really have an issue with zombies jumping behind me and things like that. Now this area, this is a get the heck out of here area. This is the area where I really first began to realize that the bear traps were spawning underneath me, or right behind me, like literally all around me. Left or right. Technically left is faster, but it's out in the open. There's no loot really. There's like 2 very scarce opportunities for loot. And even though it's technically faster, there is like literally no cover, no place to hold out. Everything is verticality, everything's jumping on top of you. I've been going right. Right, so technically faster, and literally by like backtracking around this bus. I call this the Bus Depot area, I don't know. There's loot opportunity behind this truck. Your bandages here. Our basic card. Some ammo. You can find supply crates on the ground sometimes here. So as far as this entire area is concerned, majority of its loot is right there. Zombies are inside this building, so if you shoot your gun here, they will spawn right there. And as far as this being the better of the holdout spots in this area, things will be jumping down. But at the very least, we can sort of tuck ourselves behind the awning, get some cover. A tiny bit of distance as far as things jumping down on top of you. If you have an ogre boss spawn, a lot of the times he crosses over right here into this area, and he will smack you when you're back here. Or at the very least, your bots who are constantly running around will just die to the ogre here. Don't fight the ogre underneath this awning, because he can reach in for the most part. Bear traps. Bear traps do make a sound, that like creaking sound, the old rusty. But you can see how hard these are.
They're trying to keep runners from escaping.
And I don't know if I can in any way demonstrate how quickly these things respawn. One thing to note too, when you shoot these, there is an area of effect on them. And like a duration. So if you shoot them and then walk through it, like a second or 2 after shooting it, it'll still trigger. You gotta shoot it and then give it some time. Otherwise, those they call it dusted. I got dusted. Those dusters will still trigger you, even after shooting them. If you walk through it too soon, or if you're too close to begin with when you shoot it. So just keep that in mind. Little tidbit right there. You take that, put it in your pocket, save it for later. Tell your friends. But here, you know, good RTS habits. It's supposed to be that you keep your crosshairs head height, right? For most games. Not a big deal in a PvE game, but you know, the habit is sort of entrained into me to some extent. You get punished for it with the bear traps. So the only opportunities for loot here on the left side, the back of this truck.
That's it for now.
I heard you.
Keep your guard up.
Stupid bear trap. And over here, there's a little bit of opportunity for loot. Some ammo, some copper, gun box, possibly other stuff here. And I find that this is probably the hardest part of the entire mission, is this bus depot. But typically, I recommend the loot and scoop mentality. Just get the heck out of here. Nothing's worth it. Not a good room to hold out in. Things will jump down from the ceiling here. Mutations, zombies, what have you. Horrible place to sort of hang out and hold up at.
Just what I need. We should go this way. What the hell was that?
Toolkit room. And now that we're here, The toolkit room in this little corner here tend to be the sort of best area to hold out in. Not ideal. This is a pretty dang short corner for something that can jump around out here. Reeker, Tallboy shows up and just slams the whole team. Kind of a brutal place to hold out. So I would say we're still sort of in the hardest area of the map. We need to get out of here quickly as possible. Left or far right? You can see all of the snipers from these two sides. Those whatever 5-4 snipers. All the way to the far right. And you can see all of them again, right? That would be my suggestion. Pick one of the two. You can loot all these areas for the most part. They're pretty quick to loot. Good RNG though. This can be a door. Or not boarded up. Being boarded up is actually quite nice. This room sort of becomes a crappy holdout room, if that's the case. Decent enough. Decent enough. As you can see. But basically, that's just the two rooms, right? There's 4 doors, but these rooms are all connected.
Yes, I will keep this.
Yeah.
Nice. I needed
Look.
that.
And then, of course, there's the center room here. I recommend not taking the center room first, because you step out, and zombies on both sides are aggroed, and they're swarming you. Pick far left or pick far right. Kill the snipers, and then you can work your way into the area. All of this, though, possible zombie spawns. Nothing is safe. Trust no one. But of course, opportunity for loot
Don't mind
in
me.
these cars.
Just checking someone's car.
Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy.
I smell
As you can see there, demonstrated shooting it and then moving into it afterwards. Still triggers a horde event here. Now, this is sort of the end of the hardest area, and we're sort of into the area now where we get a little bit more wiggle room as far as holdout points. And I feel like the bulk of the loot is in this building here. We'll call it Building 23. I don't know why. Feels like a 23 to me. We'll jump through this door. Or this window. Sleepers, beware traps, things like that. But we have the best holdout spot. And the entire map is right here. Sort of down there as well. Where we got nice long hallways. And plenty of space to maneuver and dodge stuff. The other toolkit room can be right here. Typically I prefer it to be right here because this is closer to the end. And we can make this place like a little base of operations. Heal the bot. Reset. Hold off against the horde here. Over and over again. It's quite nice. Keep in mind that if you hug this railing, it breaks the bots. And they will teleport to the bottom of the floor. Same thing here. If you hug these railings, sometimes the bots, you know, and their endless desire to never be in your line of sight, but technically always be in your line of sight. They like to jump down and stuff like that. So if you're going to hold off in these areas, typically hold off sort of away from the railing. But they're less inclined to jump down, but they will still jump down. Loot down here, what have you, right? Into crazy down here. At this point, really, the question becomes left or right. Now, I would typically always recommend loot this building. It's the safest place in the entire map. It has the bulk of the loot in it. And it's right on our path. And a great place to sort of just like reset, catch your breath, and hold off. But essentially the question becomes, down the street or to the right? Down the street, technically faster. We can loot this building still and go straight down there. Show you what it looks like first. Right, a little arrow right here. Can't jump over any of this. I've never seen any ridden spawn out of this area, so technically, other than them climbing over the truck, this corner is relatively secured. You can hold right here, things like that, but not ideal. Wait a little bit for the dust to go away. Keep in mind, you cannot climb this truck. These trucks always seem to be climbable or not climbable. Like, most of the time they are, but sometimes you can't. Keep it right there. The line to trigger the horde event, the final event of this mission, literally this white line right there. We will not cross it. Crossing this line will add a corruption card, trigger a horde event, and spawn a bunch of snipers in these windows. And there's our safe room right there. Oh, don't hit me over the line. Don't do it. The technically fastest way to go. Actually wouldn't recommend it though. Because I just feel like the other way is safer. And really not that much slower. Right? We back up, we rewind time. We've looted building 23. Whether you want to go out this door or go out this way, doesn't really matter. They're pretty much the same. Through this area of zombies. There's potential for loot in this corner. Specifically crates and stuff. Back of this truck, of course. Bad RNG. I actually like this door to be walled off. I like it to be walled off. Because here, we can hold in this corner. Even though we got the window. And this right here. All of the zombies that spawn around this area will typically take the door. Some of them will crawl through. Even if they don't, tend to like to just have that as a wall against my back sort of thing, right? But again, more loot in here. Duffel bag opportunity. Medicine cabinet opportunity right there. This is why I don't take the left side, take the right side, because we're still relatively close to our holdout building, building 23. And if we can't get there, this is still good enough. As far as dealing with the horde event, right? Now we're on the other side, right? There's the car we can't climb on top of. Let's see exactly where. I think it's pretty in line with the white line over there. Yeah. This landing. Typically, I'll just trigger the landing event. Run back here. Hold off on our corner. And then we'll trigger some hordes on purpose up here and show you where the zombies are coming from. Because there's one corner up here that looks like you can hold out pretty comfortably. A little sketchy to get to. You can force your way in if you're really looking to save time for whatever reason. You're trying to skip the next timer horde event or whatever. But typically I just back up, hold off the horde event normally. Either in this building or if you can make it to here. Sometimes if you run back too quickly, after we trigger this horde event and we're running back, things will be spawning and running out of this building. So it's up to you to sort of like force it, feel how it feels, jump on top of the car, get to your staircase, and then for the most part the bots will catch up. And having the bots go down here, not a big deal, right? Especially if we have the toolkit room with the extra medicine cabinet, because during the horde event, so long as they don't die, all that damage they take is just repaired. And when it comes to shooting these crones, or these sniper people or whatever, you can shoot them. Look at all these cop cars. I have always seen that sleeper there. I have never not seen that sleeper. Beware that sleeper. So let's get to the area that I was talking about. This corner here. I've never seen anything climb over the fence right next to us. Obviously, they're right here. But they don't really go through these bushes. They climb up on the crate right here. So this bush, as far as I can tell, is a wall. The sniper and that sniper over there, they won't shoot us. I guess we're too far away or something. They will constantly look around at us, but they will never shoot these two snipers. They just don't seem to realize we're here. And so actually now we can sort of like step out from this box, right? And like a modern FPS, we have whatever, waist high cover. And we're chilling. And as far as I can tell, nothing is jumping out of these windows. Can we shoot another cop car? Nothing is ever jumping out of these windows or getting close to us. They all sort of have to run around this crate right here. So use it as you see fit, just so you guys know it is here. Pretty comfortable place to hold out. Somebody can actually sort of stand here and see zombies climbing over the fence. I think you can throw stuff through here? Yeah. Where did that go exactly? Yeah, you can throw stuff through there, so someone can throw a molly through there to keep it up, keep it flamed. And that's about it for this mission. This is actually the shortest of all the missions, I think. For the most part. You can really speedy zoom through this mission if you want to. Bunch of cop cars here. Bear traps everywhere. Also, too, not a tremendous amount of loot for being recruit mode and having a bunch of scav cards, right? So, this is something to keep in mind for this map. It seems to be pretty light on loot in general. With literally the bulk of the loot being in those two buildings back there. Maybe these cop cars here. But when you're triggering that initial horde event, I would recommend just going back to the buildings, but you can technically force your way through to that corner, hold off there. Or if you have enough use speed, the use speed in the deck that I typically use in the Act-5 does have enough use speed for you to like sort of brute force your way in. And for the most part, the bots will cover you, or if you have Expire T5, that'll cover you. Plant the bomb. In here are 3 shredders, 1 bait jar guy, and 2 bow and arrow people. And it seems that always seems to be the case on all the difficulties. The 2 bow and arrow people up top. So if you're desperate for time, or things are chasing you, or you do force your way to the store, I recommend just throw a single grenade, blow it up, jump in, and you can jump into one of these corners, and then just focus down one of the bow and arrow people, and then you can step out and deal with the other one. That's this map. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see you in the future.